but you are a counselor, not even a psychologist, and you've got a practice. I want to understand, just to explain to people, how did that happen? Is it connections? Is it how did it happen? How did you get a practice?
No. You know, I think for me, so maybe let's start with this. Yes, you can open a practice. So let's clear that out. It's not illegal. It's not some funny thing. No, it's not that. It's not bogus. That the most important thing, you know, it's a personal development journey, because you have to have confidence before you can open a practice, because you are out there on your own. I mean, I'm at a medical practice. The medical doctor refers clients to me. So she refers her client to me. And I would like to encourage people to work with medical doctors, because, you know, a lot of what people take to medical doctors is mainly psychological problems, but they manifest physically. Or, you know, when you're a person and you're used to just medical doctors, when you're not feeling well, you'll just go to a medical doctor. So medical doctors do refer, schools refer, churches refer, colleagues refer. So yeah, I think if people can know about your service, have you know, be visible on social media, be, you know, talk to people about what you're doing, and then yeah, I think that's when they will refer clients. But then yeah, so you can even create a career path within this counseling field and say, I will only focus on CPDs that speak to this. I think what we need to do as people in general is to get away from these labels, because, you know, even as a counselor, you can be as good as anybody else. You can be good in your you know, I would say jurisdiction, and, you know, increase your knowledge, have connections, develop different programs, and be useful to the people that you want to help. So I think people need to be flexible. People need to take control of their careers. People need to adapt to whatever it is that's happening, and, you know, just put yourself out there, because I mean, we know that psychologists earn more than registered counselors. But then if I, as a registered counselor, market myself well, I believe in myself, I understand my niche, and I treat my practice as a business, like a real business, then I can grow. I can grow even beyond what psychologists are doing. I'm just giving
it. You can even earn more than them.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I know psychologists who tell me that they've only seen 4 clients in the past year. And I'm thinking, with COVID, I saw, I don't know how many people. So it's about you. You need to develop yourself. It's a self-development journey. So if you need a mentor, get a mentor who's a registered counselor who can mentor you, show you the way, and yeah, just go out there. Do free talks at schools, do free talks, you know, at churches, get your name out there.
This is Dr. T here. I'm very excited. I've got a very special guest. I know her very well. Lesego Aphane. I know you very well from high school, Medunsa time, but people watching here might not know you. And I'd like us as a starter that you can just give a brief background of who you are, where you come from, and so that they can know you. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. T. So my name is Lesego Aphane. I was born in Soshanguve, north of Pretoria. That's where I grew up. I went to Ritumete High School, where I studied grade 10 to grade 12. Yeah, that was in the early 2000s. And yeah, back then I was studying science. So I did your maths, pure maths. So it was maths higher grade back then,
I
science
remember.
higher grade. Yeah, geography, biology, Sepedi, and English. I passed my matric, got an exemption, and I had applied at Wits University for medicine. I think my second choice was law or something. And then I also applied at Medunsa, but my marks were not very good. So I got accepted at Wits for law, but because it wasn't something that I wanted to do, I decided to go to Medunsa and I did a BSc, Bachelor of Science degree, and I majored in biology and psychology. After completing my BSc, I then did a BSc honors at Medunsa still, now known as Sefako Makgatho Health Science University. And yeah, I did my BSc honors in psychology. And then afterwards, I then went to UNISA and did a 6 months internship. Well, actually for us, they made it 7 months. I can't remember what was the reason, but yeah, it was an internship in career counseling. So we were working at a directorate. I think it's the Directorate for Career Counseling, something. They've changed the name. So that's basically student services at UNISA. That's where I did my internship. After doing the internship, I wrote my board exam, passed the first time. And yeah, I've been working in education ever since. And I also have a private practice as a registered counselor.
Wow, 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 wow. We actually went through the point. You gave me everything. You took all my questions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that I'm also a coach. So I'm a life coach, a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner as well. So yeah.
Yeah, look, I've seen adverts about that. I think I'll get into that. I hope I don't forget to touch on the coaching. But maybe just to take you back a bit, you mentioned that when you finished your matric, you applied for law, but they took you, but you're not interested. I just want to find out, did you have any sort of career guidance at the matric level, or any form of, career advice that maybe you might have took, or assessment, anything of that sort?
Well, I didn't take any assessment, but this is what happened. Maybe I should go back a bit.
Yeah.
After grade 7, there's a school in Soshanguve. So back in the day, it was Soshanguve Technical High School. It was the only school that had like computer classes. So back in the day, they were the only ones that had that. And I thought, okay, let me go to this school. But then when you get to that school, you do subjects like bricklaying, motor mechanics, welding, woodwork, and all of that. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that because I knew that I wanted to be in the health sciences. So the idea, because of limited knowledge of myself and also, of careers, the idea was that I would be a medical doctor. So I then changed schools and I went to Ritumeti where I did biology, science, and those were the subjects that, biology and geography. Those were the subjects I wasn't doing at Soshanguve Technical. So I think I guided myself. It was mainly me getting some little information, going to my parents and saying, this is what I want to do. Parents would agree or disagree, because I remember with the law, one of the reasons, besides the fact that I wasn't passionate about it, my dad was like, with your personality, you'll be crying in court. So you can't do it. He was like, no, you're not going to make it. So I said, oh, okay, fine, let's go to Medunsa. So yeah, that's the career guidance I got. Because back in the day, the only thing that schools were concerned about was the matric pass rate. I think that's still a thing even now. So they would just tell you, my child, please don't go to higher grade. You won't make it. So that was, yeah.
No, I hope we'll higher grade. Yeah, I remember it very well. I remember it very, very well. But anyway, So you went to SMU, or previously then called Medunsa, and you did your BSc, and you majored in psychology, and you said in biology as well.
Yes, yes.
And how was BSc? How did you experience it during that time?
Okay. BSc was hard. I'll
Mm.
be honest, it was hard. And from a psychological aspect, I think it's because it wasn't something that I wanted to do. So the idea was after completing BSc, I would then go into medicine. But being around the medical students and whatever, and it's like, I should be there.
Mm.
I think that was one of the things that disturbed me emotionally.
Mm.
But having the type of lecturers we had, especially in biology, I after some time I fell in love with the modules that I was doing, and I started doing well and met you guys, and studied together and all of that. So I think the support that I got from my family, from friends, from classmates, and also, just being around lecturers who were passionate about science, really helped me to overcome this whole thing of not being admitted into the MDCHB program.
Okay, and then you went further to do honors in psychology. Did you know what you wanted to do by then, or it was just automatic that you have got a degree in psychology, you might as well go to honors? Was there a plan in mind, or you just went to it and say, let me just further my studies?
The thing about psychology for me is that I got exposed to psychology because I'm such an Oprah fan. So I used to watch Oprah when I was in high school, and would have Dr. Phil, and I'd be
Yes, I
like,
remember
yo,
Dr. Phil.
I love the way he looks at issues and whatever.
Yes.
I want to do that. But then, because in your mind, you don't know any psychologist, number one. Number two, the stigma around the profession itself. And also because you told your parents you want to be a doctor. So they're pushing the narrative that when they have a doctor in the house.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think lack of information and all of that really impacted how I relate with the profession. But then once I completed my BSc, for me it was as a scientist, you're thinking, as a natural scientist, your thinking is simple. Do I want to work with parasites and ticks and whatever? And it was
I
like,
remember
no,
Zulu.
I'm gonna work.
Jesus.
Yeah, I didn't see myself in Okavango, looking at parasites and whatever, and urine and feces, and I was like, no. But psychology was always at the back of my mind, because my plan was, after doing medicine, maybe I'll do psychiatry, pediatrics, or oncology. And if I look at my reasons why I wanted to do that, and where I am today, I'm doing that, although I'm not in the profession that I had initially wanted to be in.
Okay. And when you go to, I didn't do my honors at SMU in psychology, but I wanted to find out, because usually when people do internship,
Yeah.
I remember back in the days when I did my honors, we used to have two streams. We used to have the one that for people who want to follow psychometry, and for those who wanted to follow counseling. Did you have the different stream, or was it just generic? Everybody will become a counselor?
At Medunsa, I don't know, they didn't link it to any stream. I think for them, it was more because the only master's program they have is the clinical psychology master's. So the idea is that you would complete your honors and then apply for the clinical psychology master's. The only time where they mentioned, because even at first I didn't know you could work with your honors. I thought every person had to have like a master's before they can work in the field. So I think lecturers who were genuine enough to provide the information were the ones who told us, or no, especially after we had gone for the clinical psych selection and didn't make it. Then they came back, to try and contain the situation, and they were like, "You know what? You can do psychometry." And this is what psychometry, because we were doing psychometry as part of our modules. And you can also do counseling. And in counseling, there's trauma, there's career, there's HIV, there's this and that. So it then became a backup plan to say, if I don't get into the master's program, maybe I can just apply for the internship, go for the interview, and hopefully get into one of the programs.
And then when you applied to do your internship at UNISA, was there any process that you had to follow, or it was just an application selection? Did you have to go through selection process? How was the process to get taken to it?
Okay, so they advertised, and then I put in my application. I was called for an interview. And then, I think after a month, we got a call that we will be starting in July. So it was like a normal recruitment process.
And then when you guys were doing it then or now, do they pay you guys to do internship? And how much can one expect if they do that?
Okay, I did my internship in 2011 at UNISA, and it was one of the highest paying internships. Even now, like, it's still, I'm not saying they're still offering it. I mean, that amount we were getting is still, very high, because we used to get, our take home was around 9,000.
Wow.
So,
wow.
You can imagine, we're still young. No responsibility.
You guys were doing like the internship for psychology.
Everyone wanted to get in. Like,
I remember 2011, I think UJ was the highest paying internship for psychology. Now I think other places that are becoming more competitive. No, you guys were enjoying life. You were really enjoying life. And how was the internship? So what did the internship entail at UNISA?
Okay, so remember I mentioned it was at student services at UNISA. So I was at the Sunnyside campus. That is their more administrative sort of campus. So we do screening of clients based on our scope. So with screen, we do basic assessments and interventions based on the training that we were provided. So it was mainly helping students with making career decisions. If maybe they're confused about what to get, they want to come to UNISA but they don't know what to study, would help with that. Would also help them with selecting their modules, would help them with study skills, and would have career fairs and all of that. So it was it was young professionals. It was dynamic. We had this good trainers. It was an amazing experience.
Wow. And when you finish your internship, what was then the way forward? You also had to write a board exam.
I did.
And I'm glad you mentioned that you passed it for the first. Yeah, because I was actually giving a talk to some psychology students, I think yesterday, and I think they were very much concerned when I told them about the board exam, that they still have an exam that they have to write when you finish your internship. But if there's somebody who's about to write and they are concerned or anxious about the board exam, what can we share about it? Because I think, people have been scared by the exam they write at varsity. So when they think of board exam, they don't want another exam on top of what they've been written. Is there anything that you can share just to encourage anybody who might be listening, who's about to write or is thinking about taking the same path and have heard that there's another exam that we have to write?
Okay, so I think first of all, they need to start with their internship. During the internship, each and every case you deal with, you're always asked, what are the ethical dilemmas? What, even when you are doing the work, you're always thinking about the ethics and all of that. So if you know your scope, if you know your ethics, if you are clear in terms of your limitations as well as a practitioner, then it becomes a bit easier, because I think a lot of people are thinking about the 70%, that you need to get that 70%. Of course,
the pass mark is 70%. Yeah,
no,
scares people. I told them, I told students that the pass mark is 70. They're like, oh, we can't even get 60.
They're like, I've never gotten a 70. What are you talking about? In my life. Yeah.
So,
No, I think also people should also make use of opportunities such as, there's people who actually put together groups where they help you with preparation for board exams, because I think the more prepared you are, the less anxious you will be. And I think as people, we need to also try and work on our relationship with failure. Failure doesn't say anything about who you are as a person, but it's mainly giving you feedback to say you need to go and prepare. Because remember, with our profession, you can harm people if you're not a competent practitioner. So just see it as, okay, if I don't make it, then I need to go back and consult with other people. People like studying alone, and they're in their little corner, scared and all of that. So just get people who have written the board exam, because sometimes if you don't know how the questions are going to be asked, you can prepare thoroughly, but then if you don't know how they're going to ask them, then you don't even have an idea as to what to expect there. But just speak to people who have passed, go for those extra classes, and just think about your internship. What were you doing during the internship? What ethical dilemmas were there? How did you deal with them? How best could you have dealt with them with this new knowledge that you have now that you have prepared? And just go in, write the board exam, give it your best. If you don't make it, write it again, write it until you pass it. I think, yeah, that's the best I can say to someone who's going to.
I think, yeah, you are right. I think one needs to learn that actually internship is the start of the preparation. You don't only prepare when you finish your internship. If you can actually take your internship as the learning process, you will actually be better prepared by the time you write your board exam. But what I tell people as well is that by that time you are a professional. What they're asking you is actually part of your profession. It's not that easy for somebody to just fail. You will have worked very, 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 you will have worked very hard to be repeating it year after year. There are only few people who repeat it, I think, more than 2 times. But most of the time you find it's lack of support. And errors then there. But I think if you really commit from internship, you will be ready. Now, you also mentioned that after that, then you went to open your own practice. I just wanted to touch on that, because I'm shocked to know or to meet people who are at honors level, others that are even at master's level, who are not aware that psychologists of any field, they can open a practice. They actually think only clinical can. Maybe that's why actually we've got many people going for clinical. It has been so, I don't know what the hype around it. I'm not against it, but I think there's so much hype around it unnecessary. So, but
it's the cream of the profession.
Yeah, I think people think clinical is the only one. I heard somebody today telling me that somebody was telling me that he thought clinical actually get paid more than other psychologists. Somebody was telling me that he thought clinical are the only one who can open a practice. But you are a counselor, not even a psychologist, and you've got a practice. I want to understand, just to explain to people, how did that happen? Is it connections? How did it happen? How did you get a practice?
No. I think for me, so maybe let's start with this. Yes, you can open a practice. So let's clear that out. It's not illegal. It's not some funny thing. No, it's not bad. It's not bogus. But the most important thing, you know, it's a personal development journey, because you have to have confidence before you can open a practice, because you are out there on your own. I mean, I'm at a medical practice. The medical doctor refers clients to me.
Wow.
So I don't have someone, and you know, with my registration, it says independent practitioner. So although I do consult, you know, for supervision, but I'm there on my own. So confidence is very important. And I think also, looking at my career journey, I opened my practice in 2020.
Yeah.
So from 2011 until 2020, I've been working in government. So it means I have grown as a professional in terms of my competence, and also in terms of my self-knowledge. So I know what I want. I know what kind of work appeals to me. I know which kinds of clients I want to assist, and all of that. But more than anything, it's confidence, and just saying, you know what, I believe that I too can make a difference. So yeah, that's why I opened my practice. Yeah.
So this is a real practice, has got medical aid, has got like all the process of psychologist, everything that a psychologist does in a practice in terms of administrative process, you are able to do.
Yeah.
So if you were to give somebody an idea, you are a registered counselor, you did a 6 month internship or 7 months in your case. How will you say your work differs from somebody perhaps who will have been a counseling psychologist?
Okay.
What
All
do
right.
you do or you don't do that a counseling psychologist would have done at the practice level?
Okay. So remember our scope. It says that we do screening. So the reason why we are screening, so everybody screens in psychology, because, you know, there's that first impression, and just checking to check your own, what do they call it, hypothesis, based on the information that you have. So we screen and we do basic assessments. So with the basic assessment, what it means is that we are not permitted to administer all the assessments. So as a practitioner, if you are somebody who is knowledgeable and you understand not only your scope, but the scope of other psychology professionals, then you would know that, okay, this case requires this type of psychologist. And then in this case, maybe it would be a counseling psychologist who will then do a full administration based on the tests that they are allowed to administer. And another thing is that the difference between a registered counselor and a counseling psychologist is that a counselor is not allowed to diagnose. So you can, when you're screening, you can say, I'm seeing signs of, it seems like this person might have 1, 2, 3, 4, but then they would then have to do their own assessment to verify that information. And then another thing is that we do psychological interventions, but the depth, you can't do therapy like your deep therapy and get deep into the issues, but then you can provide. The most important thing with us is that our aim is to enhance personal functioning. So it's at a basic level, and also the duration is shorter with the counselor. So yeah, it's just I won't say quick, because quick will suggest other things, but then it's at a basic level, supportive level, and we are enhancing that your personal functioning. So the most important thing is the diagnosis part. We don't diagnose.
Okay. So for somebody listening, and I'm asking these questions because I think when I go around and speak to psychology people, the questions I get shocked, and I don't like being the only one commenting on them. I like people who are in the field.
Yeah.
So as a counseling registered counselor, not being a psychologist, you don't need to have a counseling psychologist above you to supervise you at your practice or to confirm anything. You can do your own work, you can write a report and give to clients without having somebody above you. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, you can do that. That is why our registration with the HPCSA says independent practitioners. So I'm not working under anyone, but any ethical practitioner would know that every now and then you need to go for supervision. You will feel it when when you don't know what to do. You will
Yes.
feel it, or sometimes you need to confirm certain things. I think one of the tips that somebody once gave me was that you need to treat every client as if that case will land at the HPCSA. So meaning you are
Sound like
doing,
Mare.
you know, it was it was him.
Sound like somebody I
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah. He said it,
Yeah.
treat it as, and I'm telling you, it one day they will get you. So you need to make sure that your files are up to date, and that's where the ethics and the board exam you wrote. It's not about the board exam, it's about the information. You need to make sure that you treat yourself as if you don't have experience. When you're a novice, you
Mm.
check everything. You can
Yes.
even have a checklist to say, okay, have I done this? Have I done that? And then you close your case. You know what to do at any given time. Because, with me, I think maybe I should share this. My experience as a counselor is that with parents, because I like working with small children, parents will
Mm.
come and say, my child needs subject choice, only to find that maybe it's a divorce case, but they just want the person to see the psychologist for 2 minutes and then take it to their lawyer and whatever. So you need to make sure that you protect yourself, because some people could come in with other intentions for whatever it is that you're doing. So make sure that you cover yourself, you protect yourself.
Mm. No, thank you so much for sharing that and for the advice there from Prof. Marais, one of our former professor at Groenkloof at UP. And I think
Yeah.
that advice is one of the best advice I've also got, and I still apply it even today. I think it never made sense at that point, or it never had the impact that it has. But now I think I've started to even appreciate it more. And I
Mm.
think somebody of his caliber and experience, I think he understood what actually he was equipping us with that particular advice. And I'm glad that you shared that. But I also wanted to check with you. So for somebody, obviously this question will arise that if you are then practicing as a counselor,
Mm.
are your rates the same with the medical aid? Or because I know every medical aid will have a scale that is
Mm.
relevant for
Mm.
psychologists. Do registered
Yeah.
counselors have their own rates? And ideally, how much will a person expect to make? Do you get a lot of clients, or how will you get a flow of clients in order to you to live comfortably or be happy with what you are getting?
Oh, okay. All right. So with me, I think maybe I should also mention that I'm still full-time employed at the Department of Higher Education and Training. So I practice in the evenings and over the weekend. So the rates that I have at the moment were determined by, or are determined by, the medical aid. So with medical aids, you did mention that they vary again in terms of how much they pay. So anything between 400 and 600. And people should also note that with our profession, we code according to the amount of time that we spent with you. So when you are claiming, you will indicate that I saw this person for 15 minutes, and then they will give you the amount, or for an hour and all of that. So yeah, the medical aids determine how much you pay. I know some people in our profession also have I don't know what they call them, but it will be like a package that you buy. I'm not sure how ethical that is, but then it would be like 5 sessions is this amount, or 5 sessions plus an assessment, a career assessment is
Or
maybe a
like
thousand, whatever.
I do it that
Yeah.
I do that even me at my practice. So
Mm.
you'll just have a price for the assessment. I think actually what it does, it contains the price because it can become very high. If you actually an assessment can take about an average 5 hours. So if a
Yeah.
person paying cash were to pay you 5 hours amount, they might not afford it.
Mm.
So yeah, cash wise, we do that to contain the fees,
Mm.
because apparently we are very costly.
Yeah, we are. We are.
I know
Unfortunately,
we
we
are.
are. It's
Not
sad,
apparent,
but
I know we
you
are.
know, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So basically you claim through the medical aid, basically using the medical aid. So what I'm hearing from you, so what a person will make will depend on the flow of clients, the number of clients that you have.
Yeah.
Obviously, the rate will be determined by the medical aid. If it's a
Mm.
medical
Mm.
aid payment, then there's a cash payment. So where you work, is it like a separate practice on its own? Are you part of a surgery? What kind of a setup are you? Are you working with a doctor, or how do you get clients? How do clients find you? Do you have a board somewhere? How do people find you?
Yeah, it's so funny. People will find you. Like some
Yeah.
people, you ask them, who told you about me? Word of mouth is very important. So I think, okay, I work with a medical doctor. So she refers her client to me, and I would like to encourage people to work with medical doctors because, a lot of what people take to medical doctors is mainly psychological problems, but they manifest physically, or when you're a person and you're used to just medical doctors, when you're not feeling well, you'll just go to a medical doctor. So medical doctors do refer, schools refer, churches refer, colleagues refer. So yeah, I think if people can know about your service, have be visible on social media, talk to people about what you're doing, and then yeah, I think that's when they will refer clients. But then yeah, I
So when you
do get
say
a lot of clients.
so when you say you work with a doctor, do you mean like your practice is within the same yard of a doctor, or you
Yes.
are by the corner of the street, the doctor knows you are there?
No, I'm renting from the doctor, so it's a room in the
In the
medical
practice?
practice. So yeah,
Oh. No,
yeah.
thank you for sharing that, because I remember even when I started, I mean, I was having a practice, I was sharing with another psychologist from a doctor who had a practice, and it works very easy
Mm.
because almost everybody has got psychological issues.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
especially for somebody who's a starter, it's always good if you want to be able to afford to pay for your fees. If you go to just
Yeah.
a corner alone and
Mm.
nobody knows you, you are just a Tom
Yeah.
and Jerry from UNISA.
Mm. And you're a counselor, the psychologist, they're like,
You think you've wasted time by being a psychologist. So form a network of
Mm.
people who can refer to you. No, thank you for sharing that. And for somebody who might be interested in following your path and being where you are now, you mentioned that you wanted to do clinical, then you end up doing counseling. Where you are now, and maybe somebody has been rejected in clinical, is it a path that you recommend, or how will you advise them? And what can you share about the field that maybe can comfort others? You spoke about, at psychology, how they contain you guys. Knowing what you know now, somebody has been rejected today from clinical, because I think that's
Yeah.
where most people get rejected.
Mm.
How can you encourage that person? And also
Okay.
relating that to your course as well.
Okay. All right. So I think what will help a lot of people, and I did mention a bit of it, is understanding why you wanted to do clinical. So zoom into your career values. So maybe you want to work in the community, you want to work with families and all of that. I mean, as a counselor, you can do that. The only difference is that you won't be able to diagnose, and obviously there's other things they do in their training that you won't be able to do. But if you can follow your career values and you follow your interests, to say this is the line that I'm interested, or the stream that I'm interested in, when you open your practice, you can already customize it to whatever group of clients you said you want wanted to take care of as a clinical psychologist. So even with your CPDs, because we have to go for CPDs, you do get CPDs in neuropsych, you get CPDs in psychometry, in career counseling, and all of that, in trauma, and all those different areas. So you can even create a career path within this counseling field and say, I will only focus on CPDs that speak to this. I think what we need to do as people in general is to get away from these labels, because, you know, even as a counselor, you can be as good as anybody else. You can be good in your you know, I would say jurisdiction, and, you know, increase your knowledge, have connections, develop different programs, and be useful to the people that you want to help. So I think people need to be flexible. People need to take control of their careers. People need to adapt to whatever it is that's happening, and, you know, just put yourself out there, because I mean, we know that psychologists earn more than registered counselors, but then if I, as a registered counselor, market myself well, I believe in myself, I understand my niche, and I treat my practice as a business, like a real business, then I can grow. I can grow even beyond what psychologists are doing. I'm
You
just
can
giving
even
an
earn more. You can even
example.
earn more than them.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I know psychologists who tell me that they've only seen 4 clients in the past year, and I'm thinking, with COVID, I saw I don't know how many people. So it's about you. You need to develop yourself. It's a self-development journey. So if you need a mentor, get a mentor who's a registered counselor who can mentor you, show you the way, and yeah, just go out there. Do free talks at schools, do free talks, you know, at churches, get your name out there, and yeah, then you can grow.
No, thank you for that. I mean, you know, I think when it comes to the field of study, I think I'm biased when it comes to clinical. I don't even advise people to think why they want it. I just tell them leave it. It's too saturated. There are too many people there. Try other things. Try,
Yeah.
try other things. I think
Yeah.
people don't know that, you know what, in psychology, there are industrial psychologists, there are research psychologists, there are counseling psychologists, there's an educational psychologist, there's now a neuro, which is new. You can go to neuro. There are not many
Yeah.
people in neuro. There are very few. You might not even be rejected by anyone. Go to neuro. Why are you always rejected in one place? There's neuro there.
Yeah.
Try neuro.
Mm.
Yeah. But anyway, what I wanted to check with you, you mentioned that you wanted to do law, then you went to psychology. Now, there might be a matric student watching out there, or somebody thinking to change their lives and start a new career. To be a counselor or to follow the path that you followed, does somebody need a particular attribute, behavior, or personality? Are they specific people who must be what you are, or anybody can go for it?
No, not everyone can
I
go.
remember when we grew up, the minute you talk a lot, you must be a lawyer. So I
Yeah.
never heard somebody say psychology. But I think
Those
psychology will
those
talk
are
a lot
myths.
as well.
Yeah. Remember, I told you my dad said, when you are too quiet, you'll be crying in court. Yeah. So I think it starts with your interest. You have to have an interest in working with people. And also, after, you know, this whole journey that I went through, remember I said I wanted to be a medical doctor. I realized now that as much as I love working with people, if you were to fall now, Dr. T, and hurt yourself, the first question I will ask will not be, how's your leg? How's your hand? Because I don't care about that. I'll ask you, what happened? How are you? Is anything wrong with you? So you need to zoom into the specifics as well and say, okay, I'd like to work with people, but doing what? So have have a vision in terms of where you see yourself and see if it lines with what counselors do. So in counseling, I mean, we work under pressure. As I mentioned, the ethics, like it's a very sensitive profession. You must have self-discipline because, you know, even when you're running your practice, you need to make sure that everything is in order. If you say you're going to see a person at 4, you need to see them at 4 and all those things. You need to be someone who has an ability to work in the community. So as much as a lot of people in our field say they are introverts, you have to develop your communication skills, your interpersonal skills. You have to be someone who can read also things like, for example, be sensitive to other people's cultures, be sensitive to other people's way of life, because remember, our role is not to tell people what to do with their lives, but it's to support them as they're making decisions about, you know, the issues that they're dealing with. And there's also another skill that you need. You need to be someone who's good at writing, because we do a lot of writing, report writing and all of that. So how you communicate verbally on paper plays an important role. You have to be someone who reads, like, you know, one case, the moment someone says, I want to see you, I think I have this and that, you're already thinking about a lot of things. So we are evidence-based practitioners. We read a lot about different things. I mean, I had a client recently, it's a couple, and the lady was like, you are gaslighting me right now. And it reminds, and she wasn't telling me, she was telling the partner. And you can see psychological information is available like everywhere. But the information that people are receiving, is it reliable? Is it legit? Is it scientific? Has it been reviewed and all of that? So with us, I can't use information that I got from TikTok or wherever. I need to constantly legitimate journals and all of that. So, and you need to be someone who really cares about the well-being of other people, the mental state of people. Be an advocate for mental wellness, and it starts with you being an advocate for your own mental wellness. You have to be someone who's big on personal development. You're developing yourself as well, because remember, as psychologists, as much as, you know, we buy tests to assess and all of that, but the first test that you use is you. So you have to be healthy, you have to be in a good state, you have to constantly be growing and, you know, making improvements in your life. So not everyone wants that. It's a lot of work. And again, I think one other professor, you would know the person, like to say it's expensive to be, I would say, a psychologist. It's even more expensive to remain a psychologist. So sometimes you will feel like, you know what, I'm not making a lot of money, because you get that 400 for seeing a client, for example. If you want to go for supervision, you still have to pay the supervisor. So you see, so you have to be someone who also is charitable in nature, because yeah, every now and then you will do things for free just to make sure that people are okay.
Yeah, no, thanks for mentioning that. And I think on your closing part, that we at times we do things for free. And I tell people, we are all psychologists or in psychology field because we want to help people. So
Yeah.
at times, you know, we can't withhold what we like doing and are passionate about because of finances. And I think that's why we also have channels like this, where we are just giving information for free. I mean, imagine if I was consulting, this 1 hour, I'll be paying a lot of money just to talk to you.
No, you'll be paying me because you are interviewing.
I'll be paying a lot of money just to be talking. So you'll be
and the viewers would pay you.
Yeah, but thanks for sharing that. And
yeah,
you mentioned that I wanted to find out, are you still thinking of pursuing psychology in the future? Is it something that is in your plans? And if you do, which field? And I hope you're not saying clinical as well.
No. If I were to do clinical, I would do it and then work with kids only. But yeah, I want to do educational psychology because I have a lot of experience in the education field, first of all. But I also love working with young kids and teenagers. Those are my favorite clients. So yeah, and I think also that's where I would fit because of my personality. Yeah. So I think that's where I want to be. You know, the good thing about being at our age now is that you have done the development, you've gone through a lot of things, and you sort of know who you are. So you can even see from afar, "Ay, kuthini can maybe that's not me." So yeah, that's where I want to go. It's psych, and yeah.
No, super then. And I think what you shared as well previously, the previous question, when you spoke about the qualities that are needed by a matric, when you were a biometric student, when we were sharing, I actually thought about even those in psychology, because you started to touch on, personal development. Because most of the time I've realized when people go to psychology, they only realize at honors that it's not just about the marks. They want to know. They give you a very long form where you need to tell about what you have done, what background, what voluntary work. And actually, psychology on its own, it's a self-development course. You need to really work on yourself as an individual. And I could hear, I mean, you went through the process. I mean, you have grown in it and you know it very well. But I want to now move to, you mentioned the coaching. I see it Instagram, and I think you once sent me some information. Just share a bit about that. What is it all about, and where does it mix with your field of work? And what do you do? Where does it come in? Who is it for? And just some info about it.
Okay. All right. So I did a short course in life coaching. I got certified as a life coach. I know everyone is a life coach this year, but I've got papers. And I also did a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner course. Neuro-linguistic, it's neuro, the brain, linguistic, how you speak to yourself inside, and also how you speak, and that whole interaction. So I think for me at that time, a friend of mine who owns an academy was, he invited me and said, come and do the course and all of that. But when I went for the course, I wanted to grow as a person. I wanted something different. So I did the course. And for me, at the practice, the difference between a counselor and a coach is that with counseling, we are sitting, we are talking about how you got to where you are, what happened. We can even maybe just go a bit to your background so that you understand your patterns of thinking and behavior and all of that, and pinpoint what is it that you want to change and stuff like that. But when we come to coaching, coaching is about goals. So it's about moving you from point A to point B. So in my practice, it works nicely because when people come, I put on my counseling cap, and I'm a counselor. So I want to understand you, and I want to give you an opportunity to just cough out whatever it is that's bothering you. And then as soon as they start repeating themes and all of that, I know that, okay, they are saturated. So maybe I start testing to see if they're ready to now start looking at the future, to say, okay, we understand this is what you went through and we have worked through that. You've made peace with whatever it is that you wanted to make peace with. But then now, what do you want for your life? And how can we support you in becoming that? So I think doing this certification gave me an appreciation for, this whole thing of having a structured life plan, to say this is where I want to see myself. Because I think maybe just to share with people who want to get into the psychology field, you can't say I want to be a psychologist, you do a course, okay, we'll see, we apply for honors and all of that. You start planning with masters and you look at the requirements for masters, and then that guides you in terms of what needs to happen during your honors year. And even for honors, you do the same. What will be required for me to qualify for honors? Because again, we need to mention not everyone gets into honors. I remember at Medunsa, the selection was a bit tough. We didn't go for, a selection interview, but the application process was a bit tough. They didn't take everyone who applied. So you need to have a plan, you need to have support, you need to have accountability. Because a lot of people, I mean, I've seen people who just come to counseling just to have someone to listen to them. And, sometimes it's as if someone enjoys just having this person, you and the person decide that, okay, this is the plan of action that this person will be taking. Next time when they come, they did something else and all of that. So with coaching, you have a structured plan for you to get to from where you are to where you're going. You look at different options. You look at stumbling blocks. NLP focuses more on limiting beliefs. So sometimes you can say, this is what I want to become, but I don't know, somewhere along the way, you sabotage yourself. So with NLP, we help people to deal with those programmings. It can be trauma, it can be things that you just say to yourself, or the content that you are consuming that's, playing a program that's opposing where you want to go. So yeah, I love the combination of coaching and counseling.
Sounds good. So is there a difference between coaching and motivational speaking?
Yeah, there is a difference, because remember, with motivational speaking, I'm mainly focusing on raising your dopamine levels. It's like, oh, Tabo, you can do this. It has its role, because people do need that, boost every now and then. But with coaching, remember I said it's
like
structured.
pastors when they say your miracle is around the corner.
Yes. Now it's which corner?
show me the corner. We'll go and get it.
You see, I remember the late Dr. John Tibani used to say that if you don't fail and you're busy reading the Bible, thou shalt fail. If you don't study, you're just reading. So
also, if you don't study, you are just reading the Bible, thou shalt fail.
God can do it for me. Nothing is impossible with the Lord. Thou shalt fail. Yeah.
So yeah, so you are still explaining the difference.
Yeah. So with counseling, for me, I think what makes coaching enjoyable and NLP is that NLP was developed by people who were modeling some of the psychology grades, that we studied. So for me, seeing how those people's thought processes when they were helping people, because it's about modeling excellence. So they showed us people like Victoria Satire, what her process was when she was helping clients and all of that. I became more in love with psychology because of the training that I went through.
So are you also like providing training or people who want to become coaches?
No, I'm not a trainer yet, although we had started conversations with the person who trained me. I would do facilitation every now and then, but I never followed up with that because of my busy schedule. But yeah, it's a long-term plan. Yeah, at the moment, if people want to become coaches, I normally refer them to his academy.
Must invite him. We want to hear what is coaching.
Yes, you must, because I think it's a good option for people who don't get into masters. I think the fact that our institutions can only take a certain number of students doesn't stop the fact that South Africa needs mental health practitioners. So in whatever corner you are in, you'll be making a difference. And you can even open a practice. I mean, I already had a practice when I was doing this training. So it was just me integrating that knowledge into whatever it is that I was doing. But I do know people who only did this training and they have practices that they are running, coaching businesses that they are running. So it's a good thing. Yeah.
No, look, I mean, I've seen a lot of business opportunities as well advertised and they want coaching. and
Yeah.
they definitely want somebody with some form of certificate
Yes.
in coaching. So you are definitely right. I mean, it's another alternative career that people can explore, especially people in psychology. I think we are versatile and we are able to adapt to different career paths. So it's just the one to explore it and see what can come out of it. So thank you so much, Mia Paneman. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate. And I was breaking to somebody that, you know, I know a lot of people from Retumate. I think that
We are making the boards.
yeah, no, we have got, you know, if we put a line of all the graduates from that school and how far they have went, I mean, we have a lot of assets that we can use for this nation to help others. But before I close, any last words, thoughts to anybody listening who might desire to follow the path and have the courage you have and be where you are? There might be a psychology student listening to this in their room, wondering why they're doing psychology. Any words of encouragement? You know, psychology sometimes can become a very lonely course.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can become very depressing. You know, you work like a slave. Sometimes you wonder, does anybody work like this anywhere in the world? So there are moments of lowness and moments where you are high. But any words of encouragement to, particularly to psychology students out there who might, you know, what wish they can be where you are, where they've got their own practice and they are coaching and they are looking forward to do masters one day, but you know, they are not at a situation where you are at this point.
Okay. All right. Well, honestly speaking, you of all people would know that I've had a very difficult path in this profession. And I think, you know, what it taught me is to appreciate myself. That's why I said it's a personal development journey. So I have learned to appreciate myself, and even, you know, through the challenges that I went through, the fact that I was able to come out and create something for myself means that at some point, somewhere in my journey, I took control of my life. I took control of my career journey, and I appreciated and focused more on what I have than what I don't have. So I think, number one, people need to trust the process. They need to trust the process. And number two, you need to constantly work on yourself. I mean, going to a psychologist yourself will really help you because, you know, we go through a lot. It's a very brutal stream. It's a brutal stream, but it's because you are being sharpened. And the more patient you are with yourself and with the process, the more useful you will be to your clients. And I think another thing would be to also don't just focus on growing like vertically, but also look at your horizontal growth. There are other skills that you need. I mean, I didn't talk about the work that I'm doing at the Department of Higher Education and Training. But the training that I got, I'm not hired there as a registered counselor. I'm a career development practitioner, but this training that I got equipped me for the work that I'm doing, because we are working with policies, which is part of our scope. And I think a lot of psychology practitioners never tap into that area. And that's a very important area because we do have the power to change the world. And then, you know, look at things like, for example, you know, collaborations with other people, even people in other streams, to see what you can do from that. Everybody wants to be clinical, wants to be counseling, industrial, but then there's other things that you can do. I think you mentioned that, you know, with psychology, you can get into different professions. So just don't limit yourself. Look at yourself based on the skills that you have, the values that you have, the interests that you have, and be patient. Be patient. If the courses are hard, make sure that you consult. Do whatever it is that you would advise your clients or you would recommend to your client. take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, but keep on, studying and developing. I mean, I was talking to someone today, and the person was like, "But Lisa, how come you know a lot of things?" I read a lot. I talk to a lot of people because, we are all about learning about human behavior. So as long as there are people around, there'll always be opportunities for you as someone in the psychology profession. So yeah, I'd like to encourage people to also be innovative and to just go out there, show up in the world, develop your voice, and just speak on behalf of the profession and people who are marginalized as a whole. Yeah.
No, well said, and thank you so much. That's Lesego Aphane, the registered counselor. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Words of guidance to those who are listening, and I hope, particularly those in psychology or those who are in high school, hoping to follow the same path, that they are encouraged and they can be able to follow on your footstep. Thank you so much, Mme.
It's a pleasure.
Friends, thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I encourage you that share this video with other people who might be looking for jobs. Make sure they subscribe to this channel so that they can be informed about careers. There are many things that will be uploading. There are many videos that will be uploading in the coming weeks. You need to share this so that other people are also informed about career opportunities that exist, particularly in South Africa, where many people are not employed, particularly the youth. So make sure that you share this video. If you are not a subscriber of this channel, I encourage you that you take time before you close this video by subscribing to the channel. I told you that subscribing, you don't pay a thing. It's just a matter of making sure that every time I share a video, you will get that video on your phone. The video will come to your phone, you'll be able to see it that you have uploaded. So if you don't subscribe, you will not be aware every time I share a video. So subscribe by clicking the red button at the corner of this video. You must be on YouTube to be able to subscribe. Not on your phone, you might not see it. Make sure that you are on the YouTube channel. Whether you are on the YouTube on your phone or your computer or your laptop, but make sure you are on the YouTube channel. If you got this link through Facebook or any other platform, make sure you are on the YouTube channel. Click the link to go to the YouTube channel and subscribe at the bottom at the corner of this video so that you can be able to get more videos that I share. And also click the notification icon at the bottom, the bell. Click the bell and you'll be able to get notified every time I post a video. But lastly, make sure that you comment. Leave your comment at the bottom of this video. Your comment is a way to give me feedback so that I can be able to know how the video has assisted you, what you want us to improve on the video, what other topics you want us to tackle. If you've got any question, put it on the comment section and I will be able to attend to it. And remember, if you want me to share every post that I will be sharing every week with you directly, click on the link below here. The link is named email list. When you click on that link, I will get your email and make sure that I send you email of every position that is advertised every week. Whenever government advertise or any position that we get, I will be sharing it with you through that particular email. So leave your email and I will be able to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed and enjoy the rest of the day. And I trust that you will continue pursuing to live a fulfilling life. Let's continue living a life to the fullest. I love you and God bless you.